Okay, so declensions are categories for nouns, and they're based entirely on the endings that the noun uses. And if you look at this, here's first declension, here's second declension, and obviously from this there are 5 declensions. And if you look at the nouns in each declension, right, they each use different endings. So what we see first are first, which are these ones here, and then we see second, and those are these ones here. Actually, all of these are second, but if you look at the endings, they're all using the same ending. So every noun that is first declension, every single one, is going to use these endings here. Okay, every noun that is second declension is going to use these endings here, and this goes for all the declensions. If you have a fifth declension noun, it can never be second, and if you have a first declension noun, it can never be third. Right? They're always in their category, and they can never move, and they always use the endings that go there. Okay, so why you might find this to be important would be that if you see a noun in the dictionary and you're like, oh, what group of endings is this noun going to use, you can figure out its declension. And once you do that, you can figure out the endings that it's going to use. So let's get this out of here. So in the dictionary, each noun is going to use the nominative ending and the genitive ending. So if we look right here and we want to see the nominative ending and the genitive ending, we look right there. And so my pen's not working. No. Okay, so here we have the nominative ending is A and the genitive ending is AE. And so here's another one. Here we've got an A nominative ending and AE as the genitive singular ending. So what declension would that be? Alright, now we look back at our handy dandy chart, and we can see that the first declension has got an A in the nominative singular, and it has an AE in the genitive singular. So the first two that we looked at were first declension. So for second declension, we're going to be looking for one of these endings. So it can be UN, one of these R's, but the genitive is actually how you figure it out. The genitive is different in all of the declensions. So if you look down at third declension, it's IS. If you look at fourth declension, it's US. If you look at fifth declension, it's EI. So we're looking for a plain I in the genitive singular. So if we go back and look at the dictionary, we can see a couple of different words here, and I will point a couple of them out to you. The first one that we can look at is amicus. So here we have the US, okay, which doesn't actually tell us anything all by itself. But next to it we have this I, right? And so the I tells us that it is second declension. Here's another I, tells us it's second declension. And you can go through the whole dictionary, and every time you run into one of these, any noun, anytime you, it's going to have a genitive ending that is going to tell you something. So if we look here at arcus, right, here we have a US, and the US is telling us that it is fourth. And here we have another AE that's telling us that it is first. If you go down here, here's an IS, and the IS is telling us that it is third. Why this is important is because every noun, every time you see one of these nouns, it's going to be using these endings. So if you see a noun and it's got an AE ending in the genitive singular, you know it's first declension, it's going to use all these endings, which means if it's in the accusative singular and it's going to be a direct object, it's going to have an AM on it, and that's how you know it's a direct object. If you see an I on it, like because it's second, and so you see an I on the ending of it in the genitive, then you know, oh, okay, this is second, it's going to use second ending. So then if you see an aurum, you're like, okay, this is like of the slaves. This is a genitive plural. So just so you know what endings it's going to use for each noun. I hope this makes sense.